Well, hello, everybody.
We're back again. Once again, we're back. Yes.
Well, I was punching buttons and started punching the wrong one, but we're back on track again.
That's right. It's always resetting things, isn't it? And regrounding once again.
Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, it's one thing after the other. But I am so excited we're here, and we have another fabulous teacher that we will be interviewing today.
Yes, this is Marie Saracino, and she is an award-winning figurative artist. She was born and raised in Ottawa, Ontario, in Canada, and she worked as a graphic artist for 18 years. And during this time, she was honing her skills, creating watercolor, acrylics, and multimedia painting, as well as experimenting with textiles and sculptures. Marie discovered polymer clay in the mid-1990s and the creative possibilities of figurative sculpture. Maria's one-of-a-kind sculptures have been recognized by leading international publications. Her work has won several awards as being included in special exhibits in museums and galleries across Canada and the U.S. During this time, she has developed a gift line that includes her limited edition elves and fairies, as well as her seasonal items. And we are so thrilled that she is having the time to be with us and to teach everybody. So yay for everybody. Thank you for being here today. And let's bring Maria up so she can tell us her story.
Hey, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
So glad you're here.
Yes.
Very happy to be here. Very
yes, welcome. And I love all your pieces behind you, so we get a little glimpse into your studio. It's so fantastic.
I wanted to get a good cross section of what's going on. I'm in big Christmas mode right now, so
yes,
coming.
It is. So Maria, thank you for coming and teaching with us. We're so excited that you're here and that you will be part of the Art Connection Summit. We want to know, and I know our viewers want to know, how did you start making art?
Well, making art, I've been doing that since I was a little girl. I remember almost exactly the moment where I knew that's what I wanted to do was in grade 1, and the teacher made a big fuss about something I had done, and she labeled me the class artist, and it stuck through all the high school, and it became my passion. And I never turn back. It's just, it's in me. It's in me.
It's always been in your blood. Yeah.
My blood was fueled by a really good teacher who recognized this. So I thank her for it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And Maria, what inspires you to create your art? What motivates you?
Well, the inspiration, I would say there's 3 artists that I really admire and are the inspiration. They're illustrators and painters, but they kind of inspire me to do what they do as illustrators, to do as 3D and sculpture. And John Dare is a Canadian artist who does these kind of snapshots of Canadian life. A lot of it revolves around hockey and just, and just everyday Canadian life. Norman Rockwell is an American illustrator who I absolutely adore his work. And what he's famous for is kind of those little snapshots, those moments that just kind of resonate and make you feel familiar with what he's portraying. So I try to get a lot of what he does in illustration. I try to come across with that in my sculptures. And then there's a German artist called Ron Mueck, who I admire very much because he's a hyper-realist. So some of the techniques and the realism that he portrays in his work, he works in a big size, but to translate that into a smaller size. So they're the inspiration behind the development of my style. What inspires me as far as what I do is probably just moments in time. Those memories that we have, those little snapshots in our mind, they're different than the photographs that we have in our albums. They're just moments that you weren't there to capture with a camera, but they're kind of forever ingrained in our mind. And when you think of them, it makes you feel nostalgic. It makes you feel close to the people you love. And that's what I try to capture.
Yeah. And I think by creating those vignettes, it invokes a different feeling, and like you were saying, a different nostalgia from everybody, because they will relate to it in their own way.
But it does. And I remember like doing a lot of shows, and, occasionally you come across somebody that gets freaked out by little figures.
Yeah.
And I used to get really sensitive about that, but now I realize that's an emotion too. And so it's okay, like you either love it or you don't love it, but if it creates an emotion, I'm doing something right. So
that's true. That's true.
And is there an element of your art that you enjoy working with? Is there something that like you really love to narrow in on?
Well, I did so much, between the graphic design, the illustration, I've done set design, I've worked in watercolor, acrylics, oils. I've tried just about a floral design, macrame, you name it. But there's always an element of frustration there is when I discovered sculpture and 3D, that it really, it clicked all the right buttons for me. And it's something that, to me, I can move around it. See it from different light. It looks different in the morning. And then it does at night. And with 3D, you can hide little Easter eggs in it that kind of make it new. Every time you look at it, it's something exciting and new to see. So for me, sculpture was I found my treasure. I found what I was really passionate about. And I just love that. And not just in what I do, but even in stone sculpture and wood sculpture, I just love the shadows and the perspective from every angle.
That's very interesting. And why do you make art, Maria?
Well, that's a very deep question. I think it's part of my legacy. I think it's a part of me that, it gives me a lot of pleasure to know that somebody else is taking what I've made and made it part of their family tradition, especially the Christmas stuff. But even from the art point of view, the work that I sell in galleries, to know that someone is making it part of their collection and handing it down through their family, it just gives me a purpose. And there's nothing more satisfying than knowing what something I've made has given someone else that same introspective view, and they just want it to be, they want to own it and they want it to be part of their lives. So legacy, I would say legacy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that part of it because, as artists, we work so soulfully, I'm going to say, and so we put so much of ourselves into our pieces. And when that is able to be communicated to another human being and they get it also, and then they bring it into their own life, it is a legacy. I mean, it's really wonderful.
It gives me a lot of satisfaction, and it's a big part of the pleasure I get from making art.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And what? Oh, go ahead, Adele. Sorry.
No. I was going to say we can all relate to that as artists. Finishing a piece and then going after you've gone through all the process, that you can pass it on to somebody else that can enjoy it just as much as you did as you were building it and making it and creating it.
I think for a lot of artists that are starting out, a lot of novice artists, they get attached to what they've made. And I think as you develop and as you kind of come to terms with what you're creating is not just for you to enjoy, it's for others to enjoy, that you learn how to kind of detach from what you've made. So I kind of have this thing that once I'm finished a piece, I might keep it around for a little bit, but then once I put my signature on it, it's gone. It's no longer mine. I don't feel that attachment anymore. So, it's kind of, you've got to develop that whole process, that mental process. When you're creating, it's yours, and then letting go, it's a process.
It is.
I agree with that, Maria, too, in that when I'm creating my own art, I find that if I, as I'm creating it, in the process of creating it, is I am creating it for another. So I'm not really creating, it's coming through me, but it's for somebody else. And I find actually more joy in creating my pieces, knowing that they're going to go to somebody else instead of just for me. So I understand that, which brings me to the next question. What connection do you have with your art? You touched on that a little bit.
Well, yes, and like I I do get a lot of joy in creating what I'm creating. If it's a commission and I'm trying to create something for someone specifically, either a portrait or a commission piece that they've asked me to do, there is a little bit of that stress where I'm seeing someone else's eyes. But usually they give me that creative freedom to do what I interpret it the way I want. But it's the pieces that are my creation, or my concept, I should say, that I start working with, and those are the ones that keep me up all night long. That I'm working on until 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Those are the pieces that I probably have a little bit more connection to, and maybe slightly more difficult time letting go of. But they're usually my best work. Those
Yes.
are, that's,
Yeah.
it's an obsession. There's
It is an obsession. Yeah, and it is kind of like a state of manic. You know, it's like, it's almost like I can't get it out fast enough, you know, but you have to be mindful of what you're doing. But it's like it's a floodgate that is opened, and you're just creating as quickly as you can create it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of effort to step away and look
Yes.
at it a few hours later, the next day with fresh eyes.
Yes.
Everything becomes very clear, but it's a process. It's definitely
Yes. Yeah, you have to step away and let it breathe. I always say, let it breathe. It just when you're so intense on the piece, sometimes you just really muck it up, you know. You think you're fixing it and you're not. You're just making it worse. So
well, I try to tell my students that, in that it's, the eye will see what the eye wants to see. So, people get really tunnel vision with one aspect of sculpture or their art, and they're working on the eyes and they just get tunnel vision. But if they step away and look at it, the whole thing comes together and makes sense.
Sure.
When you step away. But it's, that tunnel vision sometimes is hard to break away from.
Right.
Yep.
So Maria, on a deeper level, what does your art mean to you?
Well, legacy again.
Right.
But I think it's about what my purpose is, what I'm sharing. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're so talented," and talent is 10%. Passion is probably 90%. And I love what I do so much that I'm willing to put the hours in and persist in getting better and improving and listening to the critiques with an open mind rather than defensive way. I think makes me a better artist. And for that, I think what it means to me is just to leave a little bit of myself, that my grandkids, my children, the collectors that like my work, and now my students, that they have something from me that has given me purpose in my life. It's simple.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, that's
I know.
wonderful. That's wonderful.
And right along with that line, with your students, why did you choose to teach?
Well, that didn't come easy for me. I've been sculpting for over 25 years, but I've only been teaching for the last 8 years. And I think that I had taken so many courses, watercolor courses, graphic design courses. And what I knew for sure was what kind of teacher I did not want to be. I did not want to be a hand teacher. I didn't want everybody leaving with carbon copies of what I do. I wanted them to be able to explore and develop their own style. And about 8 years ago, a friend of mine, Adele, I think you know her, Chris, and even you, Adele, you gave me so much good information and you led me in the right direction. And Chris kind of helped me figure out the words to use to explain things. She was also my guinea pig, and a few other students offered to be my guinea pigs and corrected me along the way. And it's great when a student, we see the light bulb go off.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good feeling.
And you've clicked. And I think everybody appreciates that. Even if I show them, I always sculpt along with my students. So if anything that I want to show them, I'll show them on my piece. I won't touch their piece. And if they ask me to touch their piece, I remove it afterwards. They got to do it themselves. So they don't walk out with a carbon copy of my work. They walk out with something that is theirs. And I hope that I fuel that passion for them to want to continue.
That's great. Yeah.
You know, that's it's not easy being a teacher. I have a new respect for teachers. I have a new respect for elementary school teachers.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. It's very, very satisfying to kind of instill that passion in my students. It's good.
That's
I love
wonderful.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liked it so
And
much.
we're so glad that
Yes.
you're here. We're so glad that you're here sharing all of this with us.
Yes. And do you have your pieces with you that you can show us what you're doing?
Behind me, right here, are some of the fantastic beasts, and I'll give you a little close-up of one of them. This is my turquoise hare. I say that he comes from the deep jungles of Canada. But this project is really easy to do. You don't have to have any experience. You'll figure it out with the course, but you can also translate a lot of these techniques into doing a portrait of your pet. And for anyone who's interested in doing like little craft shows and stuff like that, this is a really good business project that you can make a little business out of it. This is the rabbit, but above me you see I've done antelopes, I've done a little rhino, and then you could see the bulldog right here. I've got to do this on the opposite side. I'm pointing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's him. Yes.
Hazel. And, you know, you can use little accessories. Like I collect a lot of these little things. I've got a big metal drawer full of things that I've collected over the years, and try not to throw them out, because as soon as you throw them out, that's when you need them.
That's true.
Accumulate in my stash, but they come in handy for things this size. But this is a lot of fun, and something you could hang on the wall. You can also use this to embellish, you know, treasure box or something like that. But this is a lot of the sculpting style. Oh, this is for novice or experienced. It doesn't really matter. But even sculpting studies is something you don't need experience for. If you've never sculpted in polymer clay before, this will kind of start you off on the right foot. But if you are experienced with sculpting, this kind of fine tunes it. Now, these are all my techniques that I've developed over the years. Like you can see, I show you how to do this on this angle. Regular mouth and then an open mouth. And there's a little bonus video of how to do teeth. You can learn how to do different eyes. This is an example. These are examples of hooded eyes, a little bit of aging, what happens. And I have a couple of little techniques that I show you how to do this. But if you have experience in polymer clay, I think you'll benefit from some of my techniques. As far as the clay is concerned, I've had a few questions about what clay I use. And in this tutorial, I recommend using Super Sculpey, only because it's more readily available and it's a little less expensive and it's a little softer to work with. But if you have experience working with Fimo, I know Adele works with Fimo, Cernet or Pro Sculpt or any of those ones, that's fine too. Use whatever clay you're comfortable with. But if you're new to this whole thing, you'll find that Super Sculpey is a little easier to condition and a little easier to work with, and of course less expensive. And in the resource guide, I give you the international distributors for the Polyform company all around the world. So if you're taking the class from England, there's a distributor in England. There's one in Australia.
That's great. That's great.
The eyes, by the way, the eyes are not glass eyes or pearls. They're actually sculpted eyes. And this is an important technique to learn if you want realistic sculpting, because you have to be able to change the shape and modify the eyes sometimes mid-sculpt. And by using a sculpting method to doing the eyes, you'll have a little bit more flexibility. So I cover all of that.
That's a fabulous class.
Yeah,
I love.
We create that. I hope I will correct.
Yeah, I love that you're actually creating your own eyes, because I feel that the more original, the more you have your touch in the doll, the more original the doll can be. And like you said, then you have the ability to change the expression or to change the feel, or you can flow with that whole thing. I love that.
Yeah, especially with glass eyes or pearls, they sometimes shift. So you have a little bit of a cross-eyed character, or they move or they crack. But with this method, you don't have to worry about that. And you have to paint the eyes. but I cover that, and I also cover each step, how to apply it to the full head sculpt. So the first one is the nose, for example, and after we map out the face, which is very important.
Mhm.
Once that gets drilled into your head, it becomes second nature to you, and you're constantly correcting and adjusting with the mapping. But I do everything in order, and then whatever we learn with these little practice sessions, you're going to take that and you're going to apply it to a full head sculpt. So you're going to see how the head develops using these methods. But you can mush up the clay and do it again, and if you're happy with the result, bake it and have it as a reference tool. But it's all about practice. You have to put those 10,000 hours in, right?
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
I have to say that, Maria, your videos for both of your classes are amazing, and they're very well structured, and you explain everything so well. I think, like you said, I think a beginner or intermediate or advanced, anybody could take your class.
That's what I'm hoping for. I want them to be able to get something out of it. Doesn't matter how far along they are in the process.
Mm-hmm.
It will correct some mistakes, some common mistakes. When I have my students, I always find that they do the bridge of the nose too high, and they forget the glasses have to sit on your bridge of or where the nostrils go. If they go up near the tear ducts, that's got to be corrected. So those measurements, I really drill those measurements in videos. I hope it makes a difference in their sculpting.
Yes, well, that's fabulous. I'm so glad you're offering that. I think there's such a need for that, those techniques. Yes, great. Well, we see some comments come in, but sometimes it takes a little while. We have a delay. If you want to comment anything on Maria's interview, please feel free to do that, because we will see them eventually.
Yeah. And we will, and even if it's delayed, we'll come back, we'll circle back and answer any questions too. So Maria, everybody is so excited to have you teaching here. And is there any other thought you would like to share with us today?
Just that, I'll go into the forum, I'll go into the group as often as possible and answer any questions. And even after the conference, I'm an email away. I don't mind answering questions. And I think that everyone should sign up and not feel like they have to rush to complete things. They have lots of time to work on their stuff. And even though my sculpting studies is not project-based, it's something that I hope you refer to quite often. But all of the workshops are fantastic. I went through all of them.
Yeah.
I want to take. I want to try the felting bird pillow. That's on my list.
Yeah, that thing's that's adorable. I have a question for you. Hold on, I'm going to pop it up here for you.
I think so. I think paper clay translates very well into paper clay, and I think, the sculpting process with sculpting studies is about mapping and creating a balance to the face and creating symmetry and putting everything in the right place. From there, you can exaggerate or, create different expressions. But once you have the mapping and the techniques for mapping the face down, then you have the ability to do whatever you want. And I think with paper clay, it dries quite quickly. So you might have to spray it down and keep wetting it to keep it workable. But otherwise, I think it would translate very well.
I thought that's a great question. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. I was dreaming about because I work in air dry clay, and I'm dreaming about I got to take this class too, because I want to find out stuff. Oh, I know what I was going to say is anatomy. Once you understand the anatomy and really have that two hearts, and it is like a second nature to you, then it's so great, because then you can like you said, you can springboard off and do the kind of things that you want to do. Yeah.
When I'm sculpting, I'm constantly measuring and visualizing where all the lines are supposed to go, and constantly correcting. And then you end up with a more realistic. I've done things that are hyper realistic, and I've done things that have been kind of cartoonish and whimsical. But the hyper realistic work, you get there just by following the rules and keep on adjusting and readjusting your sculpt as you're going along. And that's the nice thing about polymer clay, is that it's flexible enough to keep working on it days later.
Mm-hmm.
Paper clay, you got to work a little bit faster.
Yep.
But I think the same principles will work well.
I do too.
Well, we have another question for you. Hold on, I'll pop it up here.
No. So I prefer not to rebake because I find that, well, it depends. I shouldn't say that. I do rebake sometimes, but on the face, I try to keep it one clean, one-time bake. And the reason for that is that even though you can rebake polymer clay many, many times, there is a slight discoloration that happens with flesh tone. So you're going to find that if you're adding the ears on separately, the face is going to look a little bit more tanned than the ears. So I prefer to do the face portion as one sculpt. I will go back and add more to the back of the head, or I might go back and add, you know, let's say I wanted to make a more pronounced Adam's apple. I could add a little bit to it, but I try not to as much as I can. Other parts of the body, I will. I don't have a problem with baking and rebaking a body or the hands or the arms, but the face, I try to keep it as clean as possible in one bake. And you'll find that using the 99% proof alcohol when you're cleaning and working on your polymer clay keeps it from mushing. It kind of cools it down, smooths it out, and always work with a dowel or a wire in the head so you're not actually handling the head so much anymore, you know?
That's a great question. Thank you, Tracy. We look forward to seeing you in class. I wanted to mention that some people had some concerns that they would have to do all the class in 4 days, and no, you don't have to do the class in 4 days. The lessons will be up for you to continue working after the summit, but also that goes for the Facebook groups too.
So once they download the workshops, they have them, right?
Yes.
Right. Yes. So you can take more than one class or several classes. Yeah.
Right.
Because Adele and I are even saying, oh, man, there's some classes we would like to take too. And we're going to be so busy running it that we're going to have to jump in afterwards also. So, yes.
All the classes are all first-time workshops that you haven't seen anywhere else. So yes, really cool too. So they're exciting because they're new and fresh.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, let me see here. She's I got another question for
one
you.
More question.
Yeah, here we go.
So it's better to use a 99% proof alcohol because it's got less than 1% water. And polymer clay is an oil-based clay, so you don't want to add water because water could make it blister. You can introduce air into it, and it doesn't evaporate. And the alcohol actually softens the clay, so you get a little bit of a muddiness when you start brushing it on and going over the area with the alcohol. So the 99% proof evaporates very quickly. Gives you just enough time to clean and smooth out, and then it's gone. Don't oversaturate your clay, but less the 70% proof alcohol, which is the stuff that you get at the dollar store, is more readily available. It's got too much water in it. So 99% proof alcohol is available at all the drugstores. You can find it's not at the Dollarama or the dollar stores. It's only at the drugstores. So you'll find it. It's rubbing alcohol, and it should say 99%. Ibuprofen. I don't know how to say the word, but anyway, yes. 99%. So it's got 1% water. It evaporates very quickly.
That's very good. Thank you.
Well, Maria, I feel like you've already taught a class. We already have valuable information.
Yeah, we're on a roll.
So, well, it's with the resource page, I give them links to where they can buy tools, where they can buy the clay, where they can find all of the things that I talk about. Most craft stores carry a lot of stuff. That's the other thing, is that Sculpey is more readily available in the craft stores. You don't always find Fimo at Michael's Crafts, or you don't always find the Cernet there. So, Sculpey is easy to find. It's inexpensive and it's very soft to work with. But use any clay you like. But that's the reasoning behind using Sculpey.
Great. Thank you.
Fun. What a great
Yes,
class it's going to be.
I know. I can't wait to see what everybody turns up in both of them. I just, it'll be so much fun to see the photos of what everybody does. It's great. And, you know, I feel really fortunate that we have this capability to do this online, you know, so we can, because, you know, you're both in Canada and I'm way over in Phoenix, but we can still communicate and we can still bring our love and our passion to everybody out there in this format. So
that's
I'm
what I love about this is it's fantastic. It's like, you know, the world is becoming very small.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. And also faster because everything is moving so fast. Fast.
Yes.
I think that's why people are trying to find things that they can slow down and create with their own hands. I think that becomes important, you know, and you know, it's just like this whole COVID thing has made us want to learn how to cook, want to learn how to garden. Like we're all getting back into those old-fashioned things that we had kind of discounted for a long time.
And I think
That's
the things
true.
that are like
That
so
is
good for you too.
Yes.
You know, I mean, because I can be sitting at my work table and sewing, you know, I love to hand sew, so be sewing away and then just kind of step back and go, man, that was so good for me because you're so in the moment. So it's really wonderful.
Yes.
So thank you, Maria, for being with us today. And thank you, everybody that showed up. Remember to comment or ask questions and we'll jump back in and look at them. And yay, Maria, thank you. I appreciate it. And the fantastical beast.
A fabulous job.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, we appreciate your input on anything like Leslie had mentioned right before we came on air is that it's important that we get people's feedback. I mean, we're learning as well, and we want to make the summit the best that we can make it. And if there's something that maybe we've overlooked, please, you know, reach out, let us know.
And also to realize too that, you know, we're relying on this technology and sometimes the technology doesn't come through. So, you know, we have to be a little bit of patience with that. And, you know, communication is the big part of the whole thing. So, you know, we're here for everybody and we feel like the teachers we've selected are really incredible. So again, Maria, thank you for joining us as one of our teachers.
Guys.
So we'll be talking to you soon.
All right, bye.
Thank you. Thanks for taking time today.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fun.
I know. I feel like I've learned some things today, which is like, it's great. It's like our teachers, I just love all of them. They're bringing their own personality and their own style into this summit. And it's really fun. So, yay.
Yeah, and I just love her fantastic beasts. She calls them fantastic beasts, but I can see people making, like she said, of your pets. I can see me making Murphy.
Yes, I know.
Party. So
yeah, party. Yeah, definitely.
So that was great. I think there's a lot of things that are going to really result from all of these wonderful classes, and we're just so excited that everybody is going to be able to take the opportunity to do it.
Yes, I agree, definitely. So you guys remember to ask questions. If you like working on Facebook, join the Facebook, forums, because that is I think you're going to have a lot of fun on those. So.
Yes, especially the community one. That's the one that's available for everybody. And then, of course, we have everything split out based on what class you're going to be in. We have private groups for the classes. And even for the worldwide tour people, we have a group set up for that. So, and then just look at it that you're jumping from one room to the other.
Right. Yeah. Like a live conference, you're going to go here for your lecture and you're going to go here. Yeah. And that's really what it is. Definitely. Yeah.
So we say goodbye for today.
Yes. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you, Maria, once again for taking time to be with us and share your insights with everybody. And we look forward to you guys. We look forward to connecting with you and being with you during the summit. So again, October 8th through the 12th, classes start on a rotation basis, how many days they are. So we do have the schedule posted, and we'll post it again so you can see all the glorious things that we're doing. You can go here to the website to check out more information. And please feel free to write us.
Also, too, we like a couple of weeks before, we're going to be announcing some surprises that will be coming along the way that are not on the schedule. So
yes,
and we're
definitely.
working hard behind the scenes, trying to bring you some other things that I think you're going to just love.
Yes. Well, once again, Adele, another fabulous teacher, another fabulous interview. That was fun today.
It was fun. It was fun. And thank you to you, Leslie. It's been great working this summit together. So
I know.
I'm looking forward to us getting to the end.
Yes, I know. Yay. So that we can bring it to you guys. Yeah. So
That's
you
right.
guys, once again, thanks for coming.
So we'll be seeing you soon. And till the next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.